There we go. Looks like we're live. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. This is Monkey in the Morning in the middle of the night because I can't sleep. I'm irritated and bored. So it was either listen to music really loud and play a video game or do a stream and talk about the things that are annoying me. And I chose the latter, of course. So how you been? I'm so annoyed. So annoyed. First, I mean, I had a great day. Went out with the wife today and we saw a brand new day, which is the new Spider-Man movie for those of you who are unaware. And as a Spidey fan, I enjoyed it. I agree. If you're looking for a spoiler-free review of the movie, I do recommend Disparu's video. My only problem with his is that he whines a little bit too much about the MJ relationship, and he thinks it should have just been cut from the movie altogether. They kind of set that up at the end of what was the last one called? Far From Home. No, that was the second one. Whatever it was. So it had to be a major plot point in this one, and it really didn't irritate me. But all of his other criticisms, I'm right there with him. But I did enjoy it. It was a decent movie. But again, remember, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. I'm looking around my office here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different nope, 10 different Spider-Man things around me right now. So please understand, I'm saying that I really enjoyed the movie as a Spider-Man fan. Anyway, that was a great way to spend my day, but I didn't get much sleep last night. So I come home. I'm up for maybe an hour and I'm like, nah, I gotta go to bed. And so I go to bed and my nose starts leaking and keeps waking me up. This sinus thing, I probably should just go to a doctor and get it fixed, but I can't sleep because my nose is being a dick. So we're here, and so I go to what I always do. Like let's see what the internet has to say about things. And No Way Home, that was the last Spider-Man. Thank you. So let's go see what the internet is doing. There were already things. Sorry, guys, I'm congested as hell because this is running down into my chest and stuff. It's so pissing me off. Darth Mondo, thank you for becoming a member for month number 32. Been keeping up with the quartering drama. He might be in some shit. The last thing I saw about the quartering was Bearing's most recent video on the quartering, where the quartering has been taking little pot shots at Bearing, clearly talking about Bearing, but not having the balls to just say Bearing's name. It's Bearing. He's like one of the nicest guys on the internet, and you're too pussyfied to just say who you're talking about. No, I know I need to catch up on that, but I've been also following the Tate drama because that shit's funny. Willie Mack's latest video, which I just watched when I woke up this evening, was really good, covering the Tate situation. And it does lay out the charges a little bit more. If all of the stuff in there is correct, Andrew Tate's going to jail for a long time in England, and everybody who's like, they let Muslims get away with rape should be happy because he's one of them. According to the charges. Bearing and Sugar Tits are off. Yeah, they're some of the nicest people. There are very few people that I will talk about that I've met through my internet dealings, where I talk about how nice they are. Even with like Ricada, I've always said he was very nice to me. I've seen Bearing be nice to people who are absolute shits to him. He's still a pleasant fellow. He might disagree with them on something, but he's still very nice to him. If there was anybody I was having like beef with and like, hey, let's debate this out, and they're like, it's Bearing, oh fuck yeah, let's just go have a conversation because that's who Bearing is. Anyway, no, I haven't been following that drama. Instead, I've been following the burrito drama, hence the fucking stupid. Hence the thumbnail. I watched Matt Christensen's video that covers it briefly while he also talks about about Elizabeth Warren. And Matt, you don't like Dan Crenshaw, neither do I. But trying to frame it the way you did with the burrito thing is just silly. I called this, well, I put on the thumbnail, a lesson in propaganda, because that's what the whole burrito thing is. You guys know that, right? You guys know that the conservatives talking about the burrito and high prices don't give a rat's ass about high prices or burritos, that they're actually upset about the Iran war. That's what they're mad about, and nobody gives a shit about what's going on in Iran. They've tried to make a big the foreign wars. Trump said no. Nobody cares, huh? Did you know burritos are expensive? That's what's going on there. That is all it's about. And in Matt Christensen's video, he mentions it just barely at the very beginning of his video that these people are mad about the Iran war, and that is all it's about. That's where they came up with this shit, because they want to tie the price of your burrito to the Iran war, except they're not really related. They maybe a smidge of your burrito price is because of Iran. For those of you who don't know the burrito thing, I think we discussed it on the last show. Some guy from Turning Point USA puts a tweet up saying that one of his interns, he asked his intern what he thinks, and his intern said, "I don't think a burrito should cost $20. Well, one, if you're paying $20 for a burrito, I guarantee you're door dashing that shit. And you probably aren't paying for the burrito. You're paying for all of the extra luxuries. Even hang on, let me bring up this. This is from Matt's video. Is this one from Matt's video? Yeah, this is from his video. This is a screenshot he shows of the beefy 5-layer burrito and how it used to be 89 cents and now it's $5.36. By the way, $5.36 is like the extreme side of it. The average price is something like $4.16. I looked it up and I don't remember exactly, but look, guys, it's $5. Okay, that's still only $5 for a burrito. Hey, it shouldn't be $20. Well, there you go. It's only $5. That's a quarter of the price you said it shouldn't be. So awesome. Good for you, right? Everybody wins because the burrito's only $5. Adjusted for inflation, this burrito should cost less than $2. Which should be where, if you're making the point about how upset you are about prices, that's where you should be making the argument. Like, hey, why is this inflation should have this less than $2? Why is it over $5 now? Or in reality, over $4 now? And there's a lot of reasons for it. Yes, that's from Matt's video. Yeah, for the record, this is a still shot directly from his video. This is the video, and by all means, go watch it. The part where he's talking about housing, he's spot on. The part where he's talking about the burrito seems very disjointed. Like there wasn't really a point other than for him to say he doesn't like Dan Crenshaw, who was being a dick over the whole burrito thing. There's no substantive argument there, and actually, he undercuts his argument that he's making with, because in the case of Elizabeth Warren, she gets asked why rent is allowed to go up when there's been no property improvements or the person hasn't got a raise. And Matt's pointing out, because Elizabeth said, how do they get away with this? And he goes, get away with what? With charging what the market will bear? And I'm simplifying his concept to one line, but that's his argument. Well, if that's your argument, if people are willing to pay $5 for a burrito, then that's what the market will bear. Where's your complaint? Now, his complaint is actually with Dan Crenshaw. Crenshaw comes off with a really, I wish I could go back, but I'm not gonna. This really cringy thing basically about save up money for a burrito. And again, I'm paraphrasing. And Matt's like, how you can't tell people to just save up for a burrito. Well, you can do it for a house or for rent. Why not for a burrito? It's what the market will bear. But the reality of why the burritos are like this is that when it comes to things like food inflation, fast food especially got hit really hard by all the labor price increases. For all those people, I haven't got a raise in years. Quit your job and go work at Burger King, man. They're paying like $15 an hour. I was at we went to Panda Express when we went to see Spider-Man today, and they have a big sign out for all of their hiring, right? Their starting wages is like $17. You can't be mad at how much your orange chicken costs when the kid serving it to you is making $17 an hour. When the people at Taco Bell are having to pay $12 an hour for a starting kid to make this burrito for you, and they used to be able to pay that kid $7.50 an hour. Well, now they've got $5 they have to make up. That's 5 extra burritos, and that's 5 extra burritos with those burritos being pure profit. Or they can raise the prices across the board on the menu. Yes, some of it is the food price increase, and yes, some of it is just a little bit of corporate greed. Because one thing you will learn is, what's that? I want a beefy 5-lead burrito. Thanks a lot, Monk. Fuck you. I feel you. I was worried about that. Like, I'm going to be talking a lot about burritos. What if I make people hungry? That's all right. I got some leftover orange chicken, so I'm full. You'll be fine. Hey, for $20, somebody will probably DoorDash it to you. Anyway, the whole thing just, it made me think about why conservatives lose so much. And I did touch on this briefly the other day. You're making Elizabeth Warren's point for her, Matt. Yeah, when it comes to your property, like, hey, they can charge however much the market will bear for that. And that's not cool, is Elizabeth Warren's argument. Well, if your argument, hey, that burrito that is all their stuff and they want to charge it, hey, it's not cool for them to charge that much. Well, how are you any different than her other than on scale? And maybe Matt just didn't lay it out very well. Maybe Matt was saying, if he was trying to suggest that the market is paying $20 for burritos, so therefore that's what a burrito should cost, he did a really shitty job at it. The two really don't go together, the two arguments he's trying to make. But he's doing the Democrats' dirty work. And all of it again, has nothing to do with the price of a burrito. This is all over people being mad that we're fighting with Iran. And he said he wouldn't do any more wars. This comes from the Matt Walsh wing of retarded Republicans. Thank you, NetOps, for becoming a member for month number 33. Thank you so very much. Hi, Monk. I just got back from my longest flight day at a private pilot in my own plane. Sorry. 600 miles in a day, and I forgot to say it was my birthday, was 7/10. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear NetOps. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I used to want to fly. I really did. I wanted to be a pilot because it just seems cool. But two things. One, I'm incredibly afraid of heights. And two, I had no interest in way more schooling, which it would have taken to become a pilot at the time. I suppose I could go civilian now because you can get your pilot license-ish in like little gliders, basically. How do you go 600 miles in a plane? I can't do that in a car because I need to stop and get out. And you can't do that in a plane. How long was that flight? 600 miles, I'm guessing what? 2-3 hours, depending. I don't know how fast the plane was. But 3 hours, man, that's a lot of time to just be sitting in one position. And it's not like in a car, because like my wife refers to me as a passenger princess now because my eyesight is all fucked, so I can't really drive. But I squirm like a motherfucker. I cannot pay attention to anything. I'm minding my own business, just staring out the window. And you can't do that as a pilot, because if you're just staring out the trees as a pilot, you're gonna run into one. And that's a really bad thing. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about the burrito situation. There might be some of you who are like, yes, no, we need to talk about prices, and that's fine. It's fine. But I was sent the other day. Where is it? Where's this little douchebag? This is from Breaking Point. Our resident conservative over there. What's his name? Engelbert Humperdinck here. This stupid motherfucker. He's really mad at Ben Shapiro pointing out that if you're really worried about the price of a burrito, you can go down to the supermarket and for about $2 a burrito, get the stuff to make a burrito and make your damn burrito. And look at that. It's 1/10 of the price that everybody's like, oh my God, burritos are so expensive. Yeah, you can do, and you can probably actually, if you're doing it size for size, probably make that burrito for less than $2. You could make up a whole bunch of them, throw them in the freezer, and then you got frozen burritos anytime you want them. You got a little microwave, so you can have less than $20 burritos all day, every day. And this guy's like, how dare you? How dare you? And even brings up this graph to show that prices have gotten so much more expensive. Let me explain something to you conservatives. This is how the left uses you, because you're losing your own fight on whether or not we should be involved in Iran, because you can't make a good argument for why we should let this repressive regime control the entirety of the world's commodity supply. And so instead you're like, did you know how expensive burritos are? And then the conservative douchebag over here at Breaking Points, he brings up this graph. And look at how much more expensive things are now. Look at it. Look at that. Inflation has gone. It used to only be like 5 on the scale, and now it's like 35. Oh my God. But if you pay attention to it, and you pay attention to the rhetoric that's being used, a lot of these folks will say, like, since 2019, or in this case, since 2021. You know what happened between 2019 or 2021 and right now? It's this huge spike right here. It's this huge spike right here. And then from here to here, that looks a lot more gross than it is. Inflation, I was actually looking this up. Food inflation went down this year. It's been going down. Last year was at like 3.2%, I think it was. And this year it's at 3%. Inflation at 3% is about normal. We've had it down as low as like 2, but standard is about 3%. And they want to talk about how prices have gotten so much more expensive since 2019. Well, yeah, because we had a massive spike in shit because of vast government overreach and stupid things like the Fight Inflation Act, which increased inflation by quite a bit. That gave us a massive spike. So yeah, if you're just going by how much that is based on what is it, grocery shopping putting a strain on family budgets, the price of food purchased for home use has raised 33% from 2019. Okay. What is it from 2025, January of 2025? Because that would be relevant to the war in Iran, which again is what this is all about. They want the conservatives are out there. We're going to get them. Burrito prices, that'll motivate people. They'll see how expensive it is. The only problem is it's yeah, it is much more expensive. But you have to go back to something like 2019. Actually, the earliest you can go back is like January of 2022 to make it seem as bad as it is. You have to go back to see. I'll even show you on their own little graph. This would be January of 2022, right about there. Now look at that and the increase. That looks really bad. But if you do it like right here, January 2025, it's not that much. Is it more than the standard 3% increase? Sure. It looks like it's going from what? it's not quite 40%, so maybe 4% increase over the last year and a half. That's a little more than the 3% we expect, but it's certainly not jumping from what did it apparently used to be? Less than 10% of the household budget was food. Yeah, you can thank Biden for that, not the war in Iran. It's nonsensical. Part of the problem is that the modern wave of conservative commentators, people like Matt Walsh, they actually are isolationists. They're not people who look at whether or not getting involved in this is something that America should do because it's good for America. Like the war in Ukraine, I do not think we should have any involvement in because there is no win or lose for us. If we could make a deal with Ukraine where we got like really cheap grain from them, maybe we intercede on their behalf. Or if Russia's like, fuck it, you help us and we'll give you some really cheap grain, like, fuck Kiev. Our foreign policy should be based on helping America. And a lot of times I do believe, yeah, we should just stay the fuck out of stuff. But there's a lot of times where it's like, that kind of does involve us. And when you're talking about the majority of world trade traveling through this area and these shitbags being in charge of it and have been for 50 years now, maybe we have a vested interest in that. America first doesn't mean America only. Absolutely. But these no foreign wars. One, it's not a foreign war. I've even seen these despicable pieces of shit trying to use dead soldiers who were not killed in Iran. It's not because we were actually in Iran, but soldiers are dying. Yeah, some of them are. And by the way, it happens more often than any of us want to talk about. But it's because Iran is striking places outside of Iran. And soldiers and airmen and have any sailors died? I don't remember. Are tragically killed. But it's not the same as like the invasion of Iraq and like these are the soldiers who invaded who died. These are people who are probably pushing papers in another foreign country in Iran being dickbags instead of trying to take us directly because they can't. They're shooting at other folks. They're firing into places like Saudi Arabia, and then our soldiers are hit there and like, see, it's costing American lives. Yeah, it is. And you're dancing on their grave to try to win a fucking argument because you can't make a good argument about why we shouldn't be involved. You can't make an argument that wins about why we should have no involvement over there. And if you can, by all means, do it. But leave all the other crap alone. You don't really give a shit about the price of a fucking burrito. And all you're doing is using literally leftist talking points. A lot of these same assholes did the same shit with the Epstein stuff. It's like, oh, they're on even the left is talking about this now. Let's push this through. Hey, Thomas Massey, let's push this through and really get this Epstein stuff. And all you're doing is using their playbook. These people who didn't give a shit about Epstein a year ago. Well, at this point, a year and a half ago. Didn't give a shit about the Epstein list. But you guys saw your chance to grab a little power and a little notoriety. It's the Epstein stuff. Trump is just doing all this stuff to keep you from looking at Epstein. Yeah, because Epstein hasn't been investigated at all. There's been no public discourse about this, especially in right-wing circles for the last, 10 years. There'd been no talk about it whatsoever. No, he's only attacking Iran to get focus off the Epstein list. Shut the fuck up, you retard. Also, these days, you can't run your country isolated from everyone else. It's unrealistic to think the U.S. can. The U.S. probably could. We could, but there would still be an outside influence. Whether it's a rival nation they're like China. I mean, we have a problem right now where China really is just kind of taking over South America. We have a big communism problem brewing down there, and we've largely taken either a hands-off approach to South America, or gone the liberal, hey, let's introduce gay shit into this very Christian conservative area. That's how we'll win them to our side. There is, USAID. There's been a lot of talk about that and how we were wasting money with that. The idea behind spending money in other countries to make them like us isn't bad in and of itself. It's actually a really good thing if done properly. Is it always going to be successful? No. The problem is it's often not done properly. It's often just money laundering. The idea behind it is really good. Hey, we'll help these people. They'll like us and we'll have good relations with them. And instead, dirty people get involved, and we'll just leave it at that. We need to take over both all of North and South America. That's a lot of country. It's the idea of separate nations is a good thing. We don't want everybody to be like us, because there needs to be examples we can point at and go, we don't want to be like them. I actually do like the idea that there are varying nations. What I don't like is when they, go pro-communist and we just let the Chinese run wild as we're teaching lesbian dance classes in Venezuela. Anyway, that's so far off topic. This is just how my mind works, man. It's like America, but South. Yeah. I watch these conservatives and I watch them eat themselves. I watch them embrace stupidity. Just in the whole burrito thing. And it literally, seriously, guys, don't take my word for it. Go look at anybody who's very big talking about prices now. People like Matt Walsh, and see what their opinion on the Iran war is. Which, by the way, it's not even a war. It's like an engagement. Fuck South America. It's communist. No, they don't need to fuck them. What we need to do is change them over to our way of thinking. Well, that's another thing, man. Our way of thinking is so largely becoming communist anyway. I mean, yeah. Anyhow, I wanted to talk about another video somebody had sent me, and this is related, believe it or not. It's Alana Pierce. I don't know why I know her name, but I do, and it bothers me that I do. She's making this video here. It's about why Japanese companies are not laying off people. Japanese gaming companies aren't laying off people like are being laid off in America. It's America. And she even says, I froze it on this screen because this is such an example of propaganda. So fucking stupid. She tells us American companies are laying people off despite record-breaking profits or sorry, I don't remember if she says profits or sales. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Record-breaking sales. She doesn't mention that that's also 2025 numbers, which is just the start of her because she's annoying. Probably. That is probably where I know her from. But says the global games market is expected to reach 197 billion in 2025, growth of 7.5% year on year. This represents an upward revision to the earlier forecast, driven primarily by stronger than expected performance on PC and mobile. Now, this is where it becomes very interesting. Of that $197 billion, do you want to guess how much of that is mobile gaming? Anybody want to take a guess on how much of that is mobile slop and stupid shit like buying extra lives on one of the Kingdom games? How much of it is non? It's over half. It's just over half. It's about 107 billion of that 197 billion. So it's The rest that's left is split between PC and console market, with console markets taking about 45 billion and the PC market taking about another 45 billion. The problem there is that it doesn't take many people to make mobile games. And the companies that are laying off people are not the ones that are making massive mobile games. They're the people who are making AAA games, like the recent Halo one. Halo had me and Satsu were talking about this offline. Halo, for those of you who are not gamers, massive gaming franchise, and they just released a new game, except it's not really a new game. It's a remake of an older game, and it's in a oversaturated market. The shooter market, no matter what you think of it, like, hey, Helldivers did good. Shooters are oversaturated. And when you're telling gamers, hey, your new thing is a reskin of an old game, and then it doesn't sell as well as you wanted it to, I don't know why you're surprised. But here's the thing. The layoffs over the Halo thing were expected anyway. Microsoft announced that their gaming studio was going to, well, they're across Microsoft, largely in their gaming studios, was going to cut 3,200 jobs. And back in, it was either June or July, they cut 1,800 with another 1,800, no, wait, 1,600 with another 1,600 scheduled over the next year. And each of these extra cuts will come as major games are released, and then they scale down those studios. So everybody's, oh, the game, they're why do they always, I saw one thing, why do they always do this after a game comes out? Well, one, they don't always do that, but very much like a big box store in the 80s, they massively raise the amount of people who are there doing stuff right at the end. And then as the game winds down, then they can let those people go because they don't need them anymore. They're seasonal workers, basically. But in the Microsoft case, it's an overall structural thing that they'd already announced last month. And people are, I can't believe they did. This is the industry just trying to squeeze more money. Nintendo lost Palworld lawsuit, thank God. Thank you, Connect. I didn't realize. If you're talking about a new settlement, I haven't heard of any new ones, but fuck Nintendo and what they're trying to do with Palworld. They shouldn't win any of those. They should just try to make a better game. And look, if you do find a specific copyright violation, by all means, go after it. But otherwise, fuck right off with that stuff. Tyrai, thank you. You mean mobile games with risque dressed women with bouncing boobs physics and terrible drop rate percentages? Yes. You know why? Because it's gambling. A lot. So much of online gaming or mobile gaming is a gambling system. They still basically use loot boxes and shit over there. Or they charge you. It's funny. Back in the days, like you could buy a game on mobile for like $5, and now those same games, literally the same games, you can't buy them anymore. But you can buy gems that'll let you play for an extra hour. And it's only like $1 for 100 gems, and that lets you play for 2 hours. Well, back in the day, you could just pay $5 back in the day and play forever. But now people are basically renting the games, and it works on them. Because hey, it's only $1. It's only $1. The only mobile game I play is Solitaire. I do play what are they called? The ones that say they're not Royal Match and Royal Kingdom. Those are the two that I play. Because I do like the gem style games. But I never spend $1 on them. As soon as my time is up, I'm like, okay, I'll go find something else to do. But this lady, this Alana Pierce chick, she's trying to make the point that the reason Japan isn't doing this is because Japanese companies, they can't just lay off people, which is true. Because there's this concept outside of America that once you have a job, it's yours. And the company owes you something. Me and Bear had a big argument, not Bear Inc., Irate Bear, Alex. We had an argument on stream one time because this is a European thought, is that if you have a job, they should never be able to fire you unless you did something wrong. Well, that's great unless your company isn't making money. And then what do? You can't fire somebody because you can't make payroll anymore. So, well, I guess everybody's fucked because we got to shut the company down now. We can't pay anyone. And in Japan, they're like, well, she tells us that they've given raises over there. And then she actually talked to some of the people who, one guy used to be head of Sony Interactive. And he's like, yeah, well, we want to hire the best and brightest. There's a whole different culture in Japan about how employment works. There's a whole different culture in how college works over there. Do you guys know if you go to college in Japan, you have to basically declare your major, and that's all you get to do. Changing your major over there is incredibly difficult. And you have to go through rigorous testing to get into your major. So the people who are going through the programs are the best of the best, and they're making educational decisions based on staying in that field for the rest of your life, because they expect you to go from being a kid to into college, straight into your career until you retire. And you stay with the company you're at until you retire. The whole, it's a mill of getting people to the right jobs. It's not some fucking chick who took computer science courses, but actually doesn't know what the fuck she's doing and really wants to make a game about transgendered, one-legged pygmy people. It's somebody who actually knows what they're doing. And the companies want to keep those people because it's very expensive to replace them. Thank you, Ghost. Corporate greed will bring in communist control. No, it won't. Lying about corporate greed will. I still agree with Gordon Gekko. Greed is good. Greed is good. The problem isn't. Are there examples of companies going overboard with greed? Sure, absolutely. And by overboard, it's just something I wouldn't do. I wouldn't put like a price cap on it. I'm a free market believer. What the market will pay, kind of thing. But so much of the nonsense has been, oh, these corporations have done. Look at how they're just abusing these people. Abusing these people is now expecting them to do their job for a day, expecting them to come into the office. You guys remember how big of a deal it was? Like, they want workers to come back to the office. Can you believe they expect you to put on pants to go to work? I mean, I got to drive there, and driving is like, it's really expensive and dangerous. And did I mention they want me to put on pants? I mean, it was a big thing that people were expected to do what they had been doing. Because most of these people that started working from home, they didn't get the work at home job. They didn't start as working from home. They were working from an office. And they're like, okay, the pandemic's over. Everybody come back. And they're like, that is so unreasonable for you to ask me to do what I was hired to do. Fuck. I'm not saying there's not corporate greed. I'm just, I especially seeing it from the games industry side of things, watching the games industry. It is amazing how much anger is directed towards like the publishers, right? And one of the greatest examples is the Subnautica situation, because the guy who buys Subnautica tries to get out of the deal he made with it by conjuring up some bullshit. And they're like, these greedy companies. Well, the game devs never get the charge of being greedy. It's like, no, they just want to make the best game they can make for you. Really? Then why did they work out a deal where they literally get paid $3 for every dollar the game sells? That seems kind of fucking greedy to me. They worked out a $250 million deal for themselves, largely for 3 guys. And part of that deal was them getting paid $3 for every dollar the game made. But it's just those greedy fucking publishers, right? We have a big problem with it, always looking at, hey, they've got the most money, they must be the worst ones. Really? It's never the workers. It's never that the workers aren't even doing their basic job right. It's never that they're asking for retarded stuff. I bought Subnautica 1. It's fantastic. I have 1 and 2. 2 was fun. I stopped playing it because I got bored with it. Because you do get to a place in Subnautica, especially since it's in early access and they haven't finished the story and everything, where you're just kind of wasting time. And that's where I got to. Nintendo asking for more money after tariff refunds. Thank you, Ghost. Yeah, no, I'm again not saying companies aren't greedy, and the tariff thing is one of the dumbest things Nintendo. So Nintendo claimed they were raising prices because of the tariffs, and now they want a refund from the tariffs because of our court system and them going, oh, I can't do that. And so Nintendo will get back a huge chunk that they had to pay for tariffs, but they're not sharing that with any of the consumers. And people told, for the record, there were many of us who were like, that they're not raising prices because of the tariffs. They're not. And they weren't. It was nonsense. It was a dumb way for them to be like, I bet they'll pay more if we tell them it's because of the tariffs. And then they'll blame the government instead of us. But again, that's not to say that there's no greedy corporations. Fuck, all corporations want to make money. There are none of them out there that are just like, yeah, I'm only doing this because I really like doing good for the world, because that's what volunteers do. That's what volunteers do. You don't have corporations are there to make money. Does that mean everything they do is on the up and up? No, of course not. But does that mean everything they do is evil, or that there's no other evil going alongside of it? Not even close. You just have to look at the fact that the workers, this is a real thing when it comes to like unions, right? People who love unions, like the unions help the worker against the greedy company. Well, what do they do for the worker? They get them more money. So the company's greedy for wanting more money, but you're not. It's weird how that works. But these are the kind of things that nobody puts real thought into, because hey, that company has so much money. I remember back in the day, when I worked at Walmart, the CEO of the company, he got some bonus. I want to say it was like $100 million, right? And that might not even be the right number, but I know it's higher than what it actually was. So let's go with that. Well, at the time, the company employed 1 million people. And like, he gets this $100 million bonus. That should go to the folks. Why is he making so much more than them? All right, let's do the math. $100 million divided by 1 million people. How much money is that? It's $100. It's $100 for a year. That's not a month. That's not a week. That's a year. So if they took his entire bonus and divvied it up among the people, they'd get less than $2 a week. Less than $2 a week, not an hour, a week. But look how greedy he is. All right. If that's what it costs to get talent in here that's keeping the company running and earning a profit, what's the problem? What, that you didn't get your $2? What are you, the kid from Better Off Dead? I want my $2. Tyrai, thank you. Wait, volunteers? How many nonprofits are just scams? Isn't that greedy as well? Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's another good point. There's even volunteers. If you look at a lot of the companies that, nonprofit NGOs, and you look at the salary structure of their upper management, these people are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year. And they're like, no, we're just helping the little guy. I think there's not a RAM crisis. Oh, there is a RAM crisis. I don't think it's as bad as the price is suggesting, and that's a difference because a lot of this really does go back to the Saul Alinsky rules for radicals. That one rule: never let a good crisis go to waste. You can have a minor crisis, and maybe crisis is the wrong word, but like a minor shortage in this case. You can have a minor shortage, and then people are like, well, there's a shortage here. And like, oh, well, now this cost $100 more. And you don't even need collusion between the companies. This is one of the biggest nonsensical arguments made about like companies colluding and stuff. They don't have to collude. All they have to do is see what the other guy's doing and match it and never talk about it. So like, I don't even know what the RAM companies are these days. Let's call it RAM X and RAM Y. RAM X raises their prices $100, and RAM Y is like, we're gonna raise ours $100. If they're selling it for $100, we can fucking sell. There's this notion that in capitalism, you'll always have people undercut each other, and you won't. You will always have people undercutting each other once somebody starts undercutting. Until then, it's a race for how much people will pay. And you can see this in tons of industries where the price of something just goes up and up and up and up and up. And then somebody finally comes in and undercuts that, and then the prices go down, 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 down. And it's a race back down to a more I don't want to say good market, a cheaper market. As people fight to see who can sell things for just a little bit cheaper than the guy next to him. The town right next to me, there are 2 gas stations. There's like 8 or 9 gas stations around this town, either in or directly on the way into it. Like there's a gas station, I think it's 2 miles outside as you're coming in. And I know that there's like 2 others where you come in other arteries that there's gas stations there. But there's 2 right next to each other. And they are the cheapest gas in town. And they you can watch them. They undercut each other constantly while the rest of the market doesn't pay any attention to them. The rest of the market for gas in that area, nobody pays attention to them, but they are consistently 20 to 40 cents cheaper than all of the other ones because those 2 are directly competing with each other. And again, you don't see people start undercutting until the first person undercuts, until everybody else is on the same page. And did they all come together and have an agreement to sell gas at $4? No. They just saw what the other guy was charging and like, fuck it, charge that amount. You control stocking the shelves. The CEO controls, what does it say? Billions in sales and millions have employed their way. Yeah, look, the whole notion of compensation for CEOs, this is one of the big commie talking points. Like, the gap between the lowest paid worker and the highest paid worker just keeps increasing. Well, yeah, that's kind of how compound interest works, first of all. But even if they cut the salary of the guy at the top, let's say they cut, I was going to say Bill Gates, but he's not a CEO anymore, right? Joe Blow CEO, they cut his salary down to whatever the lowest person is making. One, you're not going to get anybody good at their job in that position. But let's say you find the Sam Bankman-Fried that they all believe exists, the altruistic guy he's not really interested in being a wealthy millionaire so he can bang whores and steal from people. No. He believes that he's no better than the guy cleaning the toilet, so he's only going to take the toilet cleaning money. Okay. How much money does that put in the pocket of the average worker? If you took his compensation and divided it among all the people, how much does it really affect their pay? it sounds like, let's say you are the lowest worker. You make 50 grand. Let's say it's a decent sized company. You make 50 grand a year. And your CEO, he's making $10 million. Well, there's 1,000 people that work there. You're at the lowest rung of it. So maybe you're going to see a good bump in salary. But you know what else you're going to see? Prices go up because people have more money to go spend. That's a part of the equation that's rarely talked about in, like, it's a part of the supply and demand economy that isn't really discussed, is that part of the supply and demand side of that is how much money the people have. If you have $100 in your pocket and there's a $5 burrito, you're probably more willing to pay for it than if you have $10 in your pocket. Because losing 5% of your available money is a lot different than losing half of your available money. Progressive criminal justice reform laws serves no purpose other than, than to get more innocents murdered. I think there's a lot more to it than that. I think it has a lot more to do with one, stupid people, because let's just be honest, stupid people are what most of politics is aimed at. It's getting people outraged about stupid shit and then demanding the government fix it, even if it's the government who caused the problem. And the only time we've ever really corrected that was with prohibition. But I do think a much larger part of it is just the control part, is that if you get enough of this bad shit to happen, then they will come, the masses will come to you and be like, please save us from this thing you did, or that you totally tell me you didn't have anything to do with. Sorry, we get Alana off our thing, and I'm not talking about her anymore. I think there are some very devious people out there who manipulate things so they can get more control. Just say it that way. Also, higher level jobs like CEOs are basically a 24/7 job. You know what? That does bring me to another part of this I wanted to talk about. I should have just left this on the screen and switched to the other video. I guess we don't really need to have the video on the screen, but so that we have something to look at while we're talking. This is from a video about why Gen Zers aren't doing free overtime anymore. They're not giving up their money the way that other people do, like those other stupid generations used to. Ghost, thank you again. I read that RAM manufacturers were sued in the 2000s and people involved faced jail time. I'm for them making money. I don't like the artificial increase. Well, I will say this. When it comes to why they raise prices, I don't really care why. Because I do believe in the market economy, and I do believe the market will pay what they believe it's worth. So as RAM has gotten more expensive, people are still buying it, so they're making it even more expensive. Is that an artificial increase, or is that them turning a profit like they're supposed to? Hey, everybody, what game is Monkey playing? This isn't me playing it. That's Minecraft on the screen, by the way. Anyway, this guy tells us that according to studies, even people on salary, they're working 9 hours of extra overtime for free, and they've gotten sick of it. And so what they did is back in the mid 2000s, towards the 2015 mark, there's this quiet quitting, this term that a journalist came up with, but people. It's like 5 o'clock. I'm going home. All right. Let's talk about unpaid overtime. Do you know what most of that unpaid overtime is? Anybody want to guess? It's people using their phones to read work emails and send work emails. They're not at the office. They're not there busting ass, showing the management that they're They're going to be, as he says, the first one in and the last one home. Nope. People playing on their fucking phones and be like, oh, I think I got an email and I'm too addicted to my phone to just wait till I go into work tomorrow. And this guy uses a metaphor. It's one of the worst metaphors I've ever heard. He's comparing unpaid overtime to going to a vending machine. You go to a vending machine and you see something you want, and it's 40 units, whatever. We'll use quarters. It takes 40 quarters for this. And so you put in your 40 quarters, and then they're like, but hey, you just a little bit more and we'll give it to you. Except for that's not how a job works, because like if you only worked your 40 hours, and this is how it's always been, you'll get paid for your 40 hours. They're not like, hang on, hold on to that. Hold on. This dude figures it up that unpaid overtime is worth like $18,000 a year answering emails on your phone. Which, by the way, he never brings up what that unpaid overtime is. Fucking stupid. Should you work for free? No. So put down your fucking phone and stop answering those emails till you go back in the office, dumbass. Nobody's going to be looking at that like, well, Charlie always answers emails on Saturdays, so we're going to give him the raise. It's doing the work in there. This is one of the reasons being in person actually helps your workers rather than like, I just want to be home. No, because then the upper management can actually see what's going on. Does it always work that way? No. But are the complaints of nepotism and favoritism as bad as people say? No. I worked at Walmart, so I've seen both. I know one girl who the only reason she got promoted is she had big old titties. There was nothing else good about her. She was competent enough in the job. She didn't bust her ass or go out of the way, but boy, could she flirt. She's the only manager from when I worked there who's still at that store. How did she get her job? Her titties. Is she doing it well enough to keep it? Yeah. I mean, she hasn't gone up any higher because the higher ups are like, I don't care about titties. We want results. I've seen people who were promoted when I worked way back at McDonald's, the store manager, she got her son hired there as a manager over me, by the way. And I was way more qualified. The owners ended up having to sell that restaurant and the other 4 that they own over a sexual harassment claim against that guy because he answered his door naked one day. He was on vacation and he forgot to turn in his keys for the first assistant. And the first assistant, who was a woman, showed up at his house to get the keys from him, and he answered the door naked. Whoopsie. So do these things happen? Sure. But now ask me, how many managers did I actually work with throughout my career that didn't get their job that way? Who got their job based on the fact that they were actually good at what they had been doing, that they had taken initiative, or they were always one of the ones like, yeah, I'll help you out here. Most of them. But we never remember those people. We always remember the bad ones. Like, I know I have managers that I like, who was my manager during that time? I don't know. They did their job competently, but nothing to write home about. I will forever remember the guy who got fired and then the company sued for answering the door naked, because that is an anomaly. And we have way too much anomaly thinking in America, especially when it comes to the economy, especially when it comes to jobs or higher prices or companies being bad, taking advantage of people. A ton of that comes from individual stories, individual companies doing bad shit. All of the other companies are like, hey, we're profit margins look good. We're handling everything. We're able to pay our workers. Those people never get talked about. Those things never get talked about. Anyway, what else did I have to discuss today? That one just pissed me off. Like, if you go to a vending machine, like, what the fuck does it? How is that even comparable to a job, you dumbass? And his thing is that the reason people did that was so that they would get a promise of promotion down the line. Not always. Some of us just like to get jobs done. I have never done anything in my job trying to get a promotion. I got promoted a lot. My problems with promotion came from my mouth. Work wise, I was often, great evaluations. If they needed work, like, hey, let's get Frank in there. He'll fix this shit, because that's just who I am. That's just who I am. When I go to work, I want to do a good job. It's not for the company. It's because it's a reflection of myself. And I like to put on to people that I am a competent, good worker. If you don't, fine. But at least admit that. At least be like, no, I'm just a lazy shit, and that's what I want to be seen as. But instead, it's always like they're trying to take advantage of me. They want me to work 8 hours a day. All right. I do want to talk about one more economic thing before we move on. This is another video that I saw where in Atlanta at some mall down there, they're charging for parking. And as you can see, all of these spaces are empty. It's like $2.40 for the first hour, and then $2 each additional hour that you go to the mall. And they have all of these spaces up here just for those people. Everybody else, you got to park way out there and walk the fuck up. And there's a lot of people that are upset by this. I'm not upset by this at all. I'm not. One, I think my wife is one of those people who will drive around a parking lot for 45 minutes just so we can park three spaces closer. And she says it's for me, so I don't have to walk that far. I'm like, I don't care. Let's just park and get in the store. I don't care about how far I gotta fucking walk. But walking is good for you, honestly. Yeah. This is something that the market will fix. Either people will be willing to pay for these spaces, or the mall will realize that the expense, because this has to be run through an app. I guarantee you they're paying for that. They'll realize either that they're losing money from this and therefore it was a bad idea, maybe have the amount of parking spaces, or people will pay for it and the mall will make some money. You know why the malls are doing this? Because malls aren't what they used to be. When I was a kid, we would literally just go spend days at the mall. We'd walk the whole mall for 5, 6, 7 hours. And they were constantly busy. You been to a mall recently? They're fucking ghost towns. I used to walk 2 hours to get to work. Yeah, I mean, people are acting like this is the worst thing ever done. Like, can you believe how greedy they are? Yeah, I can. And I'm okay with it. If you want to park in that spot for an hour, it's going to cost you $2.50. You're going to the mall. You're definitely not worried that much about how much money you're saving. You're not going to Walmart to get whatever's on rollback. You're going to the fucking mall to pay Bed Bath and Beyond prices. Are they still a thing? I don't. Let's go with Barnes and Noble, because I know those. You're going to pay Barnes and Noble prices, bitch. And one of the people, like one of the people who paid for this, they were going there to eat. They were going to the mall to hit the food courts, and they didn't want to walk all that distance, so they paid what ended up being $4.50 to park closer. And we have this real issue in America. Like, no, this should be a meritocracy. When it comes to not a communist state, that's what it is. Everybody should have equal access. Why? If you have the money to pay for an extra $4.50, pay the $4.50. If you don't, or if you're one of those people, I'm not paying for parking, then don't walk. So it's a minor trade-off. If you consider it from like a pay perspective, right? Let's say you make $12 an hour. It's like a third of your pay for an hour. How long does it take you to walk from that white car into the mall? Is it 20 minutes? Because if not, then it's not a good trade-off. Just walk your ass in. You'll be fine. You'll be okay with that extra little walk to the mall, you dumb motherfucker. Anyway. I laughed at the line, I identify as a woman at special times. What the fuck are y'all talking about? I predict that those two males will show up at the WNBA draft and be denied entry. Who are we talking about? Former NBA players making themselves eligible for the upcoming WNBA draft. Are they? Oh, that would be amazing. I hope they are. Who's that chick, the blonde, who's really big on not having men in women's sports? She isn't she like one of Caitlin Clark? Is that her name? Caitlin, whatever that. It's the WNBA. I don't really give a shit. But she's been making a big thing about, hey, women in women's sports, men in men's sports. And they reached out to Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark's like, that's not something we really talk about as a club. Maybe it should be. Maybe it should be. But you're going to find out that there's a lot of people who are backing Caitlin Clark because she's a white woman. Sophie Cunningham, thank you. That's the blonde chick. She's a white woman and they're being mean to her. And as soon as she keeps going, or she's asked more and more about this, you're going to realize that she just came out of college, you morons. She's a white woman who just came out of college. Where do you think she falls on the trans debate? You think she's going to be like her teammate Sophie and be like, oh, I think they're teammates. Her league mate, I'll say it that way. Her league mate Sophie and be like, no, men belong in men's sports. Or do you think she's going to be college white woman about it? I say this to the left, but the right, I've been saying it to y'all more and more. Y'all need to choose your heroes a little bit better. You need to choose them a little bit better. All right, let's talk about Asmongold because he just got banned the other day. Oh, they were talking about the invasion over there in Spain, and we can back this up and just
shoot him, problem solved. That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot him. Like, I've said this before. Like, I know that it might sound like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I have no sympathy for doing that, and I would do that in a second because it's the right thing to do in the long term. You can never look at in a very, very isolated incident. You could say, and there's always this is emotional blackmail, right? Well,
that is the important part of this. So he ends up basically saying, yeah, even if you shoot kids, you should be shooting people trying to invade your country. And again, we're talking about, nonviolent taking over of your country. You're not talking about people coming in with guns. And he's like, no, we should shoot them if they're trying to invade. Like, even children? Like, yeah, even children. And like, oh my God, he believes in killing children. Let's say, for argument's sake, that an illegal kid is brought into this country. You had a chance to shoot him on the way in, but you didn't because it's a kid. But that kid grows up to murder 5 kids. Are you a good person? I only ask because things like that have actually happened. I mean, we didn't maybe have a chance to shoot him. We could have just thrown him out, but a lot of people are dead because of illegals. And before, no, I'm not saying illegals commit all the crimes. Yes, there's homegrown crime. I'm just saying we have enough of our own that we don't need to import illegals to do jobs that Americans don't want to do when it's like raping and killing kids. Maybe that's a job we can leave unfilled. You know what I mean? If there's a shortage in that position, maybe we should leave it as a shortage. Just saying. For the record, maybe we leave the rapists and murderers off the list of jobs we want filled. But he got banned over this. By the way, Twitch just unbanned Casey Tron, who was driving while high. There's no question about it. She was actually high, and she was driving on stream, talking to her stream chat, and she got banned for that, which, by the way, can lead to people dying. I know all you tweakers out there like, hey, man, I'm like totally the same when I'm high. No, you're not. Shut up. You're reaction time is not what it is, and your concentration is not what it is. There's enough. I have no sympathy for intoxicated driving, whether you're high or drunk or whatever it is. No. But they just let that twat back onto their service. But this guy who's like, no, you should defend your country. Like, how dare you? And their whole argument is, well, but it's kids. It's kids. All right, so let's use that as an example, because Asmongold has shot back, and he had a video that I watched earlier where he's like, no, I'm the one with the moral answer here. I'm not apologizing for what I said. So because once you give them this incentive, well, they'll use it. And we've seen this. This was one of the things with when Trump's coming back in, right? He's like, we need a DNA test and make sure these kids who are coming through with these adults actually belong to those adults. And like, how dare you suggest that's not their parent? I'm like, well, that one's Chinese and that one's Mexican. I'm just guessing. But you have a problem with people like, and I'm not saying even stealing kids, but we do know that there are some parents in, let's call them south of the border areas, who have let their kids be used as, hey, you take my kid up to his uncle in Laredo, Texas, and the coyote's like, yeah, I can do that. Absolutely. I'll bring that kid up there. And meanwhile, he's bringing a whole bunch of other people too. And now they have a human shield. There's a kid involved. So you can't do anything to him because it's a kid. All right, let's apply that to anywhere else. Let's say a group of people decides they want to go get a guy out of prison. Let's say 100 people decide they want to go get, I don't know, who's still in prison and alive. Scott Peterson out of prison. And they're trying to rush the prison. And, you know, the guards, they got the guns up there, and I know you can't come in. And then one of them breaks out a kid. Like, fuck, now we got to let them all in. This is emotional blackmail. This is one of the left's biggest tools that they use all the time. And it is because it is a feminized world, and we're supposed to have this emotion. We're supposed to feel empathy. You mean sympathy. Empathy for all of these people who have bad shit going on in their lives. Well, sometimes the answer is no, right? Like, I don't know any parent that likes telling their child no, because it's much easier. Plus, it makes them happy to tell them yes to stuff. But like, he wants to have his third brownie in 20 minutes. You're like, no. But no. Nobody likes to say no, but sometimes you have to be the parent, or you have to be the logical one in charge of your country and go, like, no, I realize their country sucks, but no, you can't come in here. No. But this is the kind of shit where even you think they should even shoot kids? Well, don't you want to talk about the other ones? Don't you want to? Because I saw the video of the people running across the Spanish border. I don't remember many of them looking like they were preteen or below. I don't remember any of them looking like little kids. The vast, overwhelming majority were adult males. How come we can't? This is the same thing they do with the abortion argument, right? Like, oh, well, what about rape and incest? Well, how many abortions are actually involving rape and incest? Less than 2%? Well, how about we talk about the other 98%, and then we can get to that 2%? How about that? Maybe? No, you want to talk about that minor thing that doesn't happen all that often. Right? That's the thing, because it's emotional blackmail. Because saying that you think a woman who's been raped should have the baby makes you feel dirty. Saying the whore who got knocked up in a bathroom at a club by a guy she never even saw, and she enjoyed the whole thing, it was completely consensual. That is a little, hey, you got to deal with the consequences of your actions. That's a lot easier to say that when it's her. So they got to go to the extremes. They got to go to the ones that pull your heartstrings. This is propaganda, guys. And this is what happens so often in politics. Let's talk about the Andrew Tate stuff. because again, I don't know how, I haven't seen the indictment from the UK. I don't know if anybody has, but part of what is being alleged there is that he raped a 15-year-old, or well, a child. And just from his own words, we know he had sex with a girl who was between 14 and 15. We don't know her exact age because we haven't, as far as I know, they haven't dug up her birth certificate or anything. But he's talked about this girl at length. And if you do the math, he had sex with her when she was 14 or 15, which is illegal in the UK. There is, what are you, 16 over there? You don't get to hide behind the rules and stuff when you're doing shit like that, you know. But you know what Andrew Tate's his latest claim is? Do you know why they're going after him? And there's a bunch of people who will be right on board when I say what I'm about to say. His excuse, and I'm not making this up, is that he said Israel shouldn't kill kids. That's what he's hiding behind, you know, for having sex with a child. That's his excuse. Not, hey, I didn't have sex with that child. No. He's not even saying that. He's saying, no, they're only coming after me because, seriously, because he said on October 9th, I think is the date he uses, that Israel's reaction was too strong. And that's when they decided they were coming for him. Forget the fact that his legal troubles, especially in the UK, predate that by quite a bit. But that's when they decided they needed to get him, you know, for the shit he said publicly. This isn't some stuff you got to go dig and find some secret video of him. This is him publicly claiming this stuff, that he was having sex with this girl. And then people started doing the math on it. And they were like, oh, wait a minute. This is why when we've talked about Trump in the past, that I've always pointed out, like, this motherfucker has told you everything he's done. He is on camera. This isn't some police interrogation video. This is him willingly saying this shit out to the public. But no, nobody cared about his dirty shit until he sided against Israel. And you know why he's doing that? Do you know why he's doing that? Because there's a lot of really stupid people out there who all you got to do is criticize Israel and they'll be on your side. It doesn't matter what the argument is. Like, hey, Israel. Oh my God, Israel. It's it's fucking stupid, man. But it's the propaganda that works, man. I mean, Tate got in with a lot of conservative commentators by claiming he's just like Trump because they went after Trump and when they had no real reason to, and that's what they are doing to him. That used to be his excuse. They just don't like his man-centered politics. They're just coming after him like they can now because it's more popular. And he was on Candace Owens' show. He's like, no, it's because I criticized Palestine. Is it? Or is it that 15-year-old girl you had your wiener in, you fucking disgusting piece of shit? It's amazing to me that people still fall for it, but they do. There's a guy. I wonder if I can find it in the video. Hang on, let's go over to Willie's video. Andrew Tate, his response to being locked up has been funny as shit. This guy right here. He's one of the protesters. Andrew's telling people how many people are protesting. There's actually between 1 and 0 people protesting at any time is locking up. Our Tate fans so stupid. Anyway, this guy actually says that you need to believe Andrew Tate because he said he didn't do it. Now, those of you who are longtime fans or just been paying attention in the last 10 minutes, do you see the flaw in his argument? Just gonna let that hang there. Do you see the flaw in the argument that you should just go by what Andrew Tate said? I'll give you a hint. He's admitted to almost every one of his crimes. How can you? This part really did. I had to stop watching for a second because I was just laughing too hard. How are you an Andrew Tate supporter, and you unironically say that since Andrew said he didn't do it, you got to take him at his word when he's on camera admitting to all of this shit? What the fuck, bro? Anyway, yeah, Tate looks like he's screwed. If all of the evidence that has been presented publicly makes it into the UK court, this dude's going to jail for a long time. And it is funny that Andrew is on record. There's one part of this video where I don't know who he's talking to, but he's like, oh, they don't want to talk about the Muslims who came over and raped all these girls. Like, the irony meter is going to break, bro, because you claim to be Muslim and the charge against you is rape, bro. Maybe they're just responding to Tommy Robinson. You're just the next one on their list. Tate brothers are going to lose everything. Probably. It's long overdue, man. They've gotten to live. But you know what really blows my mind about the Tates is they know what they've done. They know that they're on camera admitting all of this shit, and they got away with it. They made it over to America. They could have just coasted. Plenty of money. Just shut your fucking mouth. And instead, they have to keep pushing themselves on people and, let's just be honest, ripping off more people and telling them how to get away with the same crimes that they've been accused of committing. And their egos are so big that they couldn't just shut the fuck up, which is what they should have done. Should have just been shut the fuck up, bro. Tate tried dragging Barron Trump into the shit. Well, there's a narrative out there that the whole reason that the Romanians dropped they didn't actually drop the case, but stopped pursuing it as hard as they were, is because they thought they would win favor with Trump because Barron apparently knows the Tates. Which, by the way, Donald, I don't mean to give you parenting advice, but if your son is watching the Tates, seriously, you need to step in and make a man out of him. Tell him to stop being a little bitch boy who follows the Tates. If he's not, and Andrew's just lying about all that shit, then no harm, no foul. But if that part is true, you need to step in as a dad. I don't know how much truth there is to it and whether there was any. We do know that at least outwardly there was no overtures to the Romanians like, hey, take it easy on the Tates because they're Trump. But it is possible that they saw media reports or saw Andrew and they're like, oh, he's in with Trump. Maybe if we cut this guy some slack, Trump will deal with us better. Which doesn't put any of the blame on Trump. It puts it on the Romanian officials who had that kind of mentality. Either way, it doesn't matter. At this point, they're fucked. The Tates are fucked. They're on camera admitting all this shit. Bro, you were on camera talking about how you picked up this chick and when you picked her up. And then we know from her Instagram how old she is, and we can do the math, and that makes her illegal for you to put your wiener in. And I am thinking, based on what I saw in this Willie Mack video, that some of the inappropriate pictures of children that they're talking about are her. Because if she was 15 and he has pictures of her in different states of undress, that's, yeah. Doesn't matter that you had tricked her into being one of your little concubines, homie, that you tricked her into being your bottom bitch. at the time, she was too young for that position, Mohammed. Anyway, I just had a good laugh at this guy. Andrew Tate said he didn't do it. Well, Andrew Tate also said he did do it, you dumb motherfucker. He's at this point right here, while he's what we're looking at is him at the Andrew Tate protest. I'm using air quotes. And he's really confused because there's no people there. He got the idea that there's a big protest from Andrew Tate, the guy who said he had no contact with the outside world in a tweet. What? At some point, you just have to say some people deserve to be taken advantage of. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody should be taken advantage of, but when you're this dumb, when you can't put when you can't put together that the guy who tells you that he has no communication with the outside world and he says it on a social media post might be lying to you about other things. I think at that point, I should be allowed to try to actually sell this guy a bridge. I don't think it should be a crime for me to defraud this guy because clearly whatever God or the universe or whatever controls things is like, here's a dummy, take advantage of him. He's also an excellent example of why we need better fathers in homes, man. God damn. On our way to see Spider-Man today, there was a protest. It was wonderful. It was a lefty protest. My wife didn't stop, and we quickly changed the subject in the car because me and my son have very different political values, and he was with us too. He's the one that changed the subject. So, but one of the signs that one of these idiots had, he's trying to make fun of the GOP. And so he is standing out there with a sign. I wish I had taken a picture of this. He is standing out there holding up a sign that says Guardians of Pedophilia. It's supposed to be GOP, Guardians of Pedophilia, but he's just holding a sign that reads Guardians of Pedophilia at this protest. So it looks like they're the ones guarding pedophilia, and they're lefties, so they probably are. But it's one of those moments where it's like, you didn't think that through, did you? Because you're just holding a sign that, especially if people don't know what GOP says, or he didn't have it lined up right so it reads GOP, it just looks like, you know, he's the Rocket Raccoon of the pedophiles. Like, bro, how are you people this stupid? How are you this dumb? How are you this dumb and able to get outside? I guess is a better question, because being that dumb isn't really surprising. It's being that dumb and able to get outside of the house on your own. My dude, your last president was a Dem who had to apologize and promise to stop touching kids. Yeah, the last Dem president was a guy whose own daughter said that she was showering with her dad way after it was appropriate. I'm going to choke. Thanks, Monk. Sorry. The absurdity. The only thing that would have made it better is if he was dressed as a superhero. But yeah, they were mad about everything. I saw Gaza was on there. The war in Iran was on there. ICE was on there on little pro sign. There's only like 10 people out there, but they took up like 2 square blocks because they had chairs with signs just leaned up against them. It's a college town in Michigan. We were in Muskegon, for anybody who's wondering where we were. Not Muskegon. Yeah, Muskegon, right? Yeah, we were in Muskegon. I always, when I go say them, Kalamazoo and Muskegon, in my brain, it's like, wait, did you mean the other one? I've been to Kalamazoo twice, I think, in my whole life. So it's almost always Muskegon. But yeah, so we were in Muskegon, and yeah, their little protest was sad as shit. I wonder if anybody there was taking pictures and maybe caught our van as we were driving by, and you can see me in it. If you can, I'm the old guy with spiky hair and a Spider-Man shirt on. That's right. I went to see the Spider-Man movie wearing a Spider-Man shirt. Okay. I think I'm out of steam now. I still can't go to sleep, so we can talk about other shit if you want to. But the things that I had planned are done. I'm more concerned about Biden injuring his foot while chasing his dog around in the shower. Well, was the dog there to pick up this? The whole Biden dog thing was really weird because Biden clearly wasn't in any kind of position to be taking care of a dog. And those dogs caused massive chaos in the White House. I mean, there were 2 or 3 different attacks where they're like, yeah, we got to get that dog out of here. Because the dogs they're not well trained, and their master is an old dementia-ridden guy. What's your take on businesses like Walmart changing prices before you get to the register based on info they have about you? Is that something they're doing? I think whatever the price on the shelf is the price that you should. Let's say you're buying something, and as you pick it up off the shelf, the guy comes and changes the price. You should only be charged what the price was when you picked it up. I know that there's companies that are trying to find different ways of pricing. They're going to have like what's it called? I know Jack mentioned it. We were going to talk about it the one night, and I can't remember if that's the day that the internet was bad or what happened, but we never got around to it. Dynamic pricing. I'm not a fan of it. I guess if they do, like, I haven't heard the thing based on your own personal situation, but when it comes to dynamic pricing, I think that's a bad idea. I think it's kind of deceptive. You should have, but on the other hand, I mean, they have things like happy hour, right? Happy hour was when bars, it was cheaper to go in and get alcohol at that time, but that was to try to drive people there at specific times, where this is almost like to punish people for shopping at specific times. I think all it does is shift the time frame of when people are going to be buying shit, so it's not going to help the company in the long run. So I think it's a bad idea. I think it's one of those things that a moron thought up and nobody was like, hey, that's moronic, which is another problem we have way too many problems with these days. I love happy hour. I'm not a big drinker. I was actually thinking tonight, I should have a shot before I do my show. And I didn't, because I'm not really that much of a drinker. Never have been. I mean, when I get drunk, I get really drunk, but it's like, I was going to say I can probably count on both hands, but I'm old now. Let's say less than 20 times in my life have I ever been that drunk. And at 51, that's there's a whole lot more days where I wasn't than I was. I love happy hour, usually 2 hours long. Yeah. Somebody will develop a hack that dynamically drops prices just for you when you shop. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't like the idea. I think the price should be set. I mean, unless you're at okay, so when I worked at Walmart, my friend, God rest her soul, who worked beside me, she was like my favorite aunt by the time we were all done. We weren't related at all, but she's 20 years older than me, and we just became very good friends. And if she needed heavy shit lifted, I did it for her, and she taught me a lot about how the business works. But she ran the garden center for a while. She had run pets. She leaves that for garden center. I take over pets, so we're still working right next to each other. But she ran garden center like a flea market rather than set pricing. So if you went in there and haggled with her, she would drop prices for you. And she never got in trouble for it, not once. Because she was getting rid of shit, still making a profit before we had to sell it for like nothing. But it always amazed me how many people thought that they could come into a store and just haggle over the price at a big box store. You're not talking to go into a mom and pop shop. You're talking about like Walmart. The shelf says $5. It's $5, fucker. But these guys are like, no, I'll give you $4.50. And she'd be like, $4.75. And all right, cool. I like set prices as a personal preference, I guess. I don't want to go in somewhere for two reasons. One, I always overprice things. When I see something, I just assume it's more expensive than it actually is. So like, what do you think this should cost? I'd be like, 50. And that guy's like, thank God that thing was only $10. I'm about to get rich. But I also like set prices because then I can budget it, right? Like if you know how much your can of corn is going to cost, then you can budget for that can of corn. If that can of corn is going to cost a different price depending on what time of day it is, then it's a lot harder to do. I just think this is one of those things that happens in business. Somebody thinks they have a great new idea, and oddly enough, nobody stops them. Nobody stops them. I've talked about it with Walmart and the way that they used to handle inventory. The guy who comes up with this, when I left working there, we had to inventory literally everything basically all day. Everything in the back room had to be exactly inventoried. Everything in the floor exactly inventoried, which is a good idea. Except you don't really have a lot of time to do that. And the guy who did it was a military guy, and he had worked for Kmart, and they tried doing the same thing. And then they give us very regimented times that we had to get all of this shit done. And you can't do that at a big box store. But on paper, it looked like a good idea. And it worked in the military, where you can tell people what to do and you can work them 24 hours a day if you want to, where they don't have rights or families to go home to because they're on duty, damn it. And nobody was like, bro, that's a bad idea. And so they implemented it, and now they don't do that anymore because it was a bad fucking idea. Yeah, they wanted us to log like every moment of every day of what we were doing. And luckily, I was in a position where I didn't have to do that, but my employees did. And my employees had a lot of stocking time because that was a lot harder to track. Ideas are often come up by people who don't work in the stores, like regional managers, and don't understand why things won't work. Yeah, well, on the flip side of that, just to play a little devil's advocate, there's a lot of times changes are implemented where employees are like, that won't work, and it actually does, and that's what gives these kind of people the confidence to implement shit that absolutely won't work. Because you have 100 Chicken Littles telling you literally everything's going to fail. What Sam knew is that the store managers, especially when he was involved, because the store managers had a direct stake, and the department managers knew the store best. And so he would talk to them about what needed done. And once he dies, they go into the basic bitch kind of mode that they're in now, where yeah, there's a whole lot of people with bad ideas who've never worked on the floor once. The price displayed is the price you pay. It's supposed to be. Yeah. Anyway, hangovers are brutal when you get middle-aged. I've never had an actual hangover, as drunk as I've ever got, and there's a very good reason for it. It is not my Irish or my Indian blood, because that is a myth that just having that blood will make you. It's because I stay very well hydrated when I drink. I pee a lot when I'm drinking because I drink whatever I'm drinking. Usually I start off with a shot of Cuervo. It's what I've always done. And there's a good reason for that. One, I do like Cuervo, but two, it dulls your taste buds. And then you can drink anything. But after that, usually I settle in with like Jack and Cokes or margaritas because I do love a good margarita. But the whole time that I'm drinking, I will have water and usually celery with me. So I'm just intaking a shit ton of water. Anyhow, I'm not trying to give people good ideas on how to drink, by the way. That's how it is where I live. The price you pay is the price or price displayed. Yeah, it's how it should be. I hate the idea of dynamic pricing. I get the idea behind it. It's really something that like utility companies use, right? Like there's a lot of utility companies that have moved to this where they're trying to charge higher prices during peak hours. Phone companies used to do this back in the day of long distance carriers, right? If you called between 7 and 9 p.m., it was way more expensive than if you called at like 3 in the morning. And there was no good reason for it. There was no, it's not like you had to have more people. This isn't the days of individual operators having to plug in different cords. This is in the 90s. But they got away with it because they could. I like Bloody Marys myself. I'm not a fan of Bloody Marys. I don't like the flavor of the Bloody Mary mixes. Free evenings and weekends, yes. Well, this is one of the things that for a long time, mobile carriers, you know, your Verizons and all of them, back when they would charge you based on like how much, there was no additional charge for them on how much you used. But they're like, he looked at the internet for too long today, so give him more bill. There was no good reason for that. But people aren't smart enough to understand how that stuff works. It's not like there was a finite limit to what they had. I'm someplace, okay, I do want to, when it comes to things like your cable, if too many people are pulling on it, yes, it can slow shit down. That's where you end up with bandwidth issues. But when it came to mobile carriers, it really wasn't a problem. There were very few places where that would be an issue, but they did it everywhere. If I really want to get trashed, I use Everclear. I've never had Everclear. I had a chance to when I was 15, but I didn't have any at that time. I stuck with Jack and Coke. For the record, yes, I was young and stupid. I broke the law as a child, as many children do. I remember my daytime calls on my cell were really short. Yeah. Do you remember when you had limits on how many texts you could send in a day? I was just rewatching Community, and there's a episode where the dean is talking about how he had limited texting, so he got unlimited texting. You know what the difference is between limited and unlimited texting when it comes to how much bandwidth and stuff it uses? Like it's negligible. It's not even worth talking about. But they knew they could charge you that way because that's how it was done at the time. And this actually makes my point about undercutting make more sense. Isn't it amazing everybody now can offer unlimited data? It's not that they've had a massive increase in the way cell phones work. It's just that somebody finally was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm going to do unlimited data and take all your customers. Text is like no bandwidth to send and receive. Yeah, it's negligible. There's like fucking nothing to it. Alan, thank you so much. Says Morning Monkey. Good morning. I should say I'm brought to you by you. I don't show myself enough. I don't do commercials. You guys are why I'm able to eat. So if you're so inclined, please consider tossing a dime in the hat. Everclear doesn't get me drunk. It just makes me dance to pretty, what is that? To pretty catchy music. My wife was laughing at me the other day because I don't need to be drunk to dance in public. If I feel the mood strike, I'll dance wherever I am. I sing all the time in public. I really don't give a rat's ass what people that I'm never going to see again think about me. I mean, I don't want to look like a slob, so I don't like go outside stinking and dirty clothes and stuff. I guess I do care that much, but like somebody sees me dancing, there's I say dance like nobody's watching. Like, why? I'll dance like everybody's watching. Check me out, motherfucker. Look at my sweet dance moves. But we were in the I was gonna say in the driveway. That makes it sound really weird. We have a really big driveway that I was barbecuing at the time, and so I'm out there listening to music, and I just started dancing, and my wife just starts laughing at me. She's like, "People are gonna see you." I'm like, I don't care. Uh, oh, for fuck's sake, that was a joke about the band Everclear. Oh, I like women, so I don't listen to Everclear. I didn't realize anybody did. My bad. Tonight's show is brought to you by bananas. Bananas. It's what monkey wants. I have started eating more bananas because I've woken up way too many times with cramps in my calves. And then I was looking it up, and so I've switched from bananas to eating more potatoes because potatoes have way more potassium in them than a banana does. Isn't that weird? I'm sure you guys have heard that, right? When you're, if anybody talks about it, getting a cramp when they're sleeping, especially, they're like, "Oh, you need to eat more bananas for the potassium." Eat a potato. There's way more potassium in it. Bananas and rice. Well, I'm not a toddler, bro. That's shit you give a 2-year-old. Well, actually, it's like a 1-year-old, right? Monkey is getting even more unpredictable. I say, bro, I had every intention of going to sleep and waking up at a decent time, like 6 in the morning, doing a show around 8. And then it was finally like 11 o'clock where I was like, fuck it, I can't take my nose running anymore. I had to wake up to blow my nose. Yeah. Really? That's the first time I've ever heard that? What, about potassium? I may not be a Nickelback fan, but I'll give it to them. They get chicks. I love Nickelback. I don't care who knows. I know it's popular on the internet because one dude made a joke 10 years ago about Nickelback sucking. And so everybody's like, yeah, Nickelback sucks. Nickelback does, they're the closest thing to a hair band that has come along since the 90s. They play their instruments, their songs are catchy. I get it with a lot of the radio edit songs that they're overplayed, so that part I can get. But like Photograph, oh fuck, they played that song so many times. But if you've never heard the song Shaking Hands, you should really listen to it. It's a great song with a great message. It's classic rock. The Nickelback would have been huge back in the 80s. They really would have been. I saw Nickelback when they were an indie band. Were they? I didn't realize they were. Dangerous lobbing jokes over Monkey's head from the, well, when you make a joke, you have to, the people have to understand where your joke is coming from. And if you don't make it clear you're talking about the band Everclear and you're just like, Everclear doesn't make me drunk. There's tons of people who talk about alcohol that doesn't make them drunk. So I see where he was going with the joke, and then I shoot back with the attack on his manhood because that's my MO. It's what I do. Leave me alone. The crazy Somalian woman who keeps saying it's like bananas and rice. I'm not familiar with her, so I don't know who we're talking about there. Nickelback's best album is The State, in my opinion. I don't know their albums by name. Bananas and rice is from the Somalian cuisine. Bananas and rice is something you give to babies. Isn't that a home remedy for like if they have diarrhea? If they have loose stool. What is a grosser term, diarrhea or loose stool? I hate the latter. Diarrhea doesn't, I mean, I was going to say diarrhea doesn't bother me. It's not something I want to think about, but anything where they're talking about feces and they use the word stool, it grosses me out. Somebody said the bananas and rice clip. See, that's another thing that that the internet has been a problem with. Even with stuff that's like really big. Like my wife was telling me about this clip where it's like it's a little Southern girl asking if she can pet the dog or I'll pet that dog. I had never seen it, but her and my son both had, and so they get the reference, and I hadn't seen it until they showed it to me. And then the joke they made based on it made sense. It was the album that came out before the one How You Remind Me. This is how you remind me of who I really am. I don't know the song you're talking about. Since we're talking music, what's your favorite CCR song? Fortunate Son here. Oh, God. CCR is one of those bands that I don't know the names of a lot of their songs, but when they're on, I will listen to them because I love CCR. But I don't, like off the top of my head, is Bad Moon Rising theirs? I see a bad moon rising. Yeah, I don't know. Mom was a huge CCR fan, so I've heard them my whole life. But actually, there's a ton of songs from that era that I don't know the names of. There's a ton that I couldn't tell you who the singers were. But yeah, CCR is part of my growing up. It was really weird with my mom because when I'm growing up, she's a country music fan, but she also likes classic rock, right? She's like the Everly Brothers classic rock is how far back. And so it's this weird amalgamation of music that like it's oldies and country. And in my mind, they all just roll together. That's the best Halloween music. Thriller's the best Halloween music. Come on, man. Come on. That opening creak of the door. Anyway. I'm not ready to end the show yet. I just don't have anything to talk about. So now you get to hear this. I don't. Several Spoon, also not far from Clearwater, Florida. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Nope, Bad Moon for the win. Hey, you know what? There's worse songs. You could have said the Monster Mash, which I love the Monster Mash, but it makes such a joke of Halloween. I like scary Halloween. For the kids, fun Halloween, sure. And so if you're playing it for kids, like, but as an adult, I want my Halloween to be scary. Alice Cooper, welcome to my Nightmares Better Than Thriller. How dare you? How dare you? For the record, I'm not a big Alice Cooper fan. I know, sacrilege to people my age. Same with Ozzy and the whole Black Sabbath kind of vibe. Not really for me. It's not that I hate their music. It's just it's not something I set out. Largely because there's a lot of it that has that 70s rock sound. And 70s rock, when you're talking about things like Skinner, or not Skinner, Zeppelin. It's got this weird sound to it that I can't quite put my finger on before they start playing music for real. And I don't even know how it's like the guitars were high. The whole, it just all sounds high, like they're like it's coming through water instead of sounding like music. And so there's this whole, I mean, if the music comes on, it's like I don't necessarily run to turn it off, but it's not something I'd ever turn on purpose. He started in the 70s. Yeah, I know. It's like early Aerosmith. The only song that I can really listen to of early Aerosmith is Dream On. Even Walk This Way, the original one, I'm not as big a fan as I am of the rap cover that they did with Run DMC. But there's that whole sound of the 70s. I can't take it. It's not right. It's like they were using the worst recording methods possible. Yeah, like glam rock. Yeah. And it was just a weird. It's very much like disco. It's got a very distinct sound to it. And there's parts of it that I can listen to, and then there's parts of it that I can't. Same with disco. There's parts of disco I love. You throw on some Play That Funky Music or Staying Alive. Fuck yeah, I'm in for it. I am there. You play some Ring My Bell, I might punch you in the face. I God, I fucking hate that song. My best friend and his wife, we were over at their house one time, and his wife mentioned Ring My Bell. And me and my wife had never heard it because God exists clearly, and he'd buried it, but somebody killed God that night. And she called a local radio station and asked them to play it. And I still have nightmares about that evening. God, that fucking song. Oh, It's Raining Men. I'll say this. I'm I'm not there with Ray in Scary Movie, but It's Raining Men is very catchy. It's just like the songs of the Village People. They're very catchy. In the Navy and YMCA. Very catchy songs, but they're not something I'd ever seek out. Heart of Glass. Oh God, I hate that fucking song. But it's another one of those that it's catchy, and you find yourself, if you know any of the lyrics, you sing along to it like, I hate them for this. I mistook Silver Spoon for Fortunate Son. I gotcha. Okay. What was that song you guys had me listen to about we were talking dad songs last time we talked. You a fan of Born to Be Wild? Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I love Born to Be Wild. Like a true nature's child. Yeah. But I did listen to that song you guys were talking about. It's fuck, what is it? It's the one about the kid whose parents clearly get divorced, or the dad leaves. They don't actually say divorce in the song. But we were talking about the best dad songs, and you guys talked about that one. It was sad dad songs. And I went and listened to it, and it's a decent song, but it didn't resonate with me. And it's not because it's a bad song or anything. It's because I'm not a child of divorce. Now, if it had been a song about a dead mom, I probably would have cried. But I can't really resonate with the feelings of your father leaving. Cats in the Cradle. No, God damn it. Now I'm going to have to go look over on Twitter or on YouTube. Probably everybody who mentioned it's asleep right now because I stream at so many different times. Some more Rocky Band and fuck, I don't even remember. Somebody will tell me later. Blind Melon song. I don't know isn't Blind Melon the only one that I know from them? They had one big song back in the 90s. I don't remember what it was, but Cats in the Cradle, by the way, is not about a dad leaving. Cats in the Cradle is about a dad who just doesn't pay attention to their son. And again, that's not something I can. My dad was very involved when he was home. Excuse me. Phil Collins writes a bunch of catchy tunes. I like Phil Collins in the 90s. Another Day in Paradise is still a great song. And plus the 80s things like In the Air Tonight and Invisible Touch. What other ones was he involved in? He made some great songs, yeah. Well, I'm an orphan. Does that count? Probably. It depends on what song we're talking about. Are there songs for orphans? I don't know if there's songs for orphans. There are very few. I don't know if there's any songs for people like me. It's like my mom died when I was 14. Where's my song? I guess I'd have to write it myself. There's songs for kids of divorce. There's songs there's even country songs about kids from divorce. I Don't Call Him Dad. You guys know the song I Don't Call Him Daddy? Make a song, Monk. I've toyed with the idea, but I'm not good with the musical side of it. I could write the words for it. I actually have a way with words. Scrolling through my just recommended on YouTube, and it's not showing me the name of that song. Not that it matters anyway, but my point there was it's not a bad song. It's just not one that resonates with me. Now, a song like That's My Job does resonate with me because my father has passed on. I liked the song even before then because it's about a son who has a mildly difficult relationship with his father, but his father still loves him no matter what kind of an asshole he is. And that's something I can resonate with. My dad put up with a lot of shit from me. What's that? Is that song about a spurred lover on why she does call someone daddy? No, the song I Don't Call Him Daddy is it's a boy singing to his, or well, it's a guy singing about his son, and he's talking about his stepfather, and he's like, I don't. The lyrics go, I don't call him daddy, even though he takes care of me, and it's about him like, you're my dad, even though I got stepdaddy over here. You're my dad. You're the one I love. Best wife song, my wife actually reminds me of my mom. Who's that by? I don't think I've ever heard that. Yeah. Boy Named Sue. I don't think that's a dad song either. I mean, I guess it is. Boy Named Sue is a song about abandonment. There's that wild twist at the end, right? But he's like, he's ready to kill him. And he's like, before you kill me, let me explain why I did what I did. And that one's not even so much about abandonment. That one's about how fucked up it was to name him Sue. Marty Robbins. Okay. Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Again, grew up listening to country music back in the early 80s. So a lot of Marty in there. Every so often I'll go on an old time country kick and it's like, oh man, whatever happened to these people? Like, do you guys remember Crystal Gale? She was huge for a while and then she just kind of disappeared. Not Crystal Gale. Yeah, Crystal Gale. She's one of them. And who's that other chick? She just had one name, started with Sylvia, right? Is that her name? No, that was the name of the song. Anyway, tons of these artists who were huge at the time. And I guess this happens throughout life, but when you notice it as an adult, where these things that used to be major parts of pop culture. And I wonder how that's going to be for like kids today. Like in 20 years, is there going to be a kid who's sitting on a stream talking to people and being like, do you guys remember Logan Paul? Do you guys remember Boogie? And at least the ones we talk about, had talent, but the Highwaymen. I like the Highwaymen. At least the song, the Highwaymen that they did. I was a highwayman across the ocean. Anyway, and I enjoy each. Although, like when it comes to Johnny Cash, I'm really not the biggest Johnny Cash fan because his music just doesn't hit with me. He's like the original rapper. He's the OG rap artist. If you actually, I mean, A Boy Named Sue, he's not really singing, he's talking it. What's that? We don't call him daddy, but he takes care of things. That's what it is. And it's not we don't call him, it's I don't call him daddy. Or unless they change the wording on it. Whatever happened to Monkey? Yeah. Some of y'all are young enough that in 20 years you'll be like, do you guys remember Ranting Monkey? Crazy fat guy who had all kinds of health problems and ranted on the internet about everything, including backpacks. Oh, shit. Anyway, Johnny Horton. In 1814, we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans and we fought the bloody British in the town of New Orleans. I don't know Johnny Horton. North to my dad was a huge Johnny Horton fan. Dad had very interesting musical taste because he liked like Johnny Horton. He loved old school Hank Williams, the senior, not junior. Ricky Skaggs. He loved bluegrass. Yeah, and then mom was more pop country at the time because like the only country she didn't really like was Alabama. For some reason, she had a huge hate boner for the group Alabama. I don't know why, but yeah. No, the stairs hate monkey, probably. I haven't fallen downstairs in a long time, so now that I said that, I'll probably do it today. The Oak Ridge Boys, Elvira. Do-do-do. Yeah, I remember the Oak Ridge Boys. The Oak Ridge Boys were a big band with mom, and maybe I really do think a lot of mom's problem with Alabama was that Oak Ridge Boys were really big, and then Alabama comes on the scene. They actually have to make a new category of best musical artists for Alabama because they're just sweeping up everything. So they have best or group of the year, and Alabama just sweeps it over and over and over. Won't lie. If you stop streaming, the internet will be at least 60% more lame. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I can't stop doing this. I mean, this is my outlet for getting shit off my mind. I used to type it, like I can't type very much anymore. I used to write a lot, and I can't do that anymore because you'll even notice I don't tweet as much as I used to. It's a pain in the ass to read what I'm writing because my eyesight is such shit. But yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Titty. Hello, darling. It's nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely. Conway Twitty, he's a weird amalgamation of ideas because he is very sensual in a lot of his music, and that was one of the criticisms of him is that he was dirty, especially for country at the time. Like the song Love to Lay You Down. There's a lot of ways of saying what I want to say to you. But the chorus of that is I just love to lay you down and softly whisper. And it's all about how he wants to bang this chick. But if you listen to the song, he's singing to his wife. And it's about how turned on he is by his wife, which is actually pretty sweet. At the end, the final chorus is actually about how, hey, when you're old, I'm still probably going to want to fuck you. That's how turned on I am by you. And for the record, if you're having problems in your relationship, that's where you'll first notice it. Like my wife, I still get excited to see her naked because that's awesome. She's naked, and I am as turned on by her now as I was when we first met. That's real love right there, because we do not look anything like we did when we first met. The fact that my wife can look at me and be like, yeah, I'll sleep with that. That is an amazing thing considering the transformation that has happened in the 30 plus years since we met. So Love to Lay You Down is about sex. Well, who would have guessed that? But the thing is, it's not just about sex. It's specifically about sex with your wife. He's not just out there like, I was at a club and I saw this chick I wanted to bang, which is, if you just hear, especially the opening verse and the name of the song, that's how it comes off. And there's a lot of Conway stuff that's like that, where it's actually very romantic, even with the sexual innuendo that's put in there, or in that case, basically outright stated. But yeah, so if you ever want to see interesting takes on Love to Lay Down, just go look at some of the reactions of it, because you get that same thing. The people who've never heard it before, when they're first listening and they get that to the end of that first chorus, they're like, damn, homie just laying it out there. And then by the time they get to that third chorus, they're like, this is such a sweet song. And it's the same fucking song. Be fair, how long has it been since Lady Monkey last had an eye exam? It's been a while. It has been a while. That's a fair point. Mine has been much more recent. Randy Travis. I'm trying to think of a good Randy Travis song. The only one that comes to mind is Three Wooden Crosses, because I've heard that one several times recently. Fuck, what is some of his older stuff? Mom was a big Randy Travis fan too. Randy Travis, Dwight Yoakam, who else is in that? Who's the guy that sings The Chair? Really clean cut country guy with the big hat. Fuck, what's his name? That wasn't my chair after all. Yeah, mom was a real big fan of those guys. Garth, I love Garth. Kind of a dick about his music for a long time. It's only been the last couple of years that you could listen to it on YouTube. And I'm not even saying, you know, on other people's channels. If just his own Garth channel, I'll give him millions of views just re-listening to what's the name of that one? I went to work for her that summer. Fuck, what's it? Is that song called That Summer? It's one of my favorite songs. I'll listen to it over and over again. George Jones. Yep, mom loved George. He stopped loving her today. Oh God, I'm like a retarded jukebox, ain't I? You guys say a name and I just sing a song from them. That Summer is the name of that one. I love that song. Although that song is kind of disturbing. It's about an old lady who bangs a teenager. But I mean, Achy Breaky Heart, as much as I know Billy Ray gets a lot of problem or deserved hate, but Achy Breaky Heart is very catchy. Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, I just don't think. Forever and Ever, Amen. Is that Randy? Forever and ever, forever and ever, forever and ever, amen. That's Just Between the River and Me. Uh-oh, I don't know what happened there. What'd you did? A country guy with a hat. Who knew? Well, there was a whole no hat country tour with people like Travis Tritt. Who else was on the no hat tour? Because George Strait is the guy I was trying to think of when I was talking about the big hat, clean cut. That's George Strait who did The Chair. And it became such a thing. Garth was one who always had the big hat on. Who else? Tim McGraw. But then there was a pushback, the no hat tour, and it was all guys who did country music without wearing cowboy hats. As for Tim McGraw, you know my favorite Tim McGraw song is? I love things like Live Like You Were Dying. I think Live Like You Were Dying is something everybody should listen to and take to heart. Don't Take the Girl. Oh, if that song doesn't hit you in the feelings, you're probably gay. But Angry All the Time. I love the song Angry All the Time. It's a guy who's the whole song is about how he's leaving his wife that he's been with for a long time because the bitch is just angry constantly. Indian Outlaw is very catchy, but it's not one of my favorites. It is. The Heart Don't Forget Something Like That. Is the name of it Something Like That? That's another one that was popular there for a long time. It was Labor Day weekend. I was 18. I was headed down to New Orleans. No, it was Labor Day weekend. It doesn't say I was 18. Maybe it was 17. I don't remember, but yeah, that's another great song. That Summer is about Ross and the librarian. Yes, it actually is. She's an old widowed woman. That's even one of the lines of the song. But she comes to him one night because he's there to work on her stuff, and she gets frisky. Indian Outlaw would be highly controversial today. Yeah, it would. I'm an Indian outlaw. part Cherokee and Choctaw. My baby, she's a Chippewa. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I try so hard. I can't rise above it. Yeah, I listen to a lot of music, guys. I don't know if you guys have caught on to that fact by now or not. Indian Daughter Feather. We're talking about feather. I mean, with the rest of the words, I should have given it away because I don't think there's any Choctaw Indians in India. Brooks and Dunn. I do like Brooks and Dunn. What was it? They did a song with Jelly Roll recently. What song did they do? Fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, I like Brooks and Dunn. I'm probably a bad music lover for this, but most of the music I like is mainstream music. There's a reason it's mainstream. There are music snobs out there who are like, no, if you really like in country, what's his name? Chris Ledoux. Hardcore country folk, especially singers, love Chris Ledoux. You ever listen to Chris Ledoux? His music sucks ass. There's a reason he never became famous other than other people talking about him. Ann-Margret. What? Who is Anne? Are you talking about the actress? But yeah, I like mostly mainstream music. Although a lot of the times the songs that I like from the artist, it's not their mainstream stuff that I end up liking the most. Because like Bon Jovi, I love Bon Jovi. But my favorite songs of theirs aren't actually their main. My favorite song from it's actually on the Young Guns soundtrack is Bang a Drum. Probably my favorite song by Bon Jovi. So Anne Murray. Oh, I know Anne Murray. I could not tell you one thing she sung. I just know she was really popular back in the 80s. Canadian Milk Toast. What? I like music. I like, and if anyone has a problem with it, I have two middle fingers. No waiting. Yeah. I became that way when I was probably middle school because I do have such an eclectic taste. And in middle school, you guys have got to remember, I start middle school in Norfolk, Virginia. I am in the hood, and rap is really popular. And I did like rap. I still like rap. But I also like rock and country. And if people are, oh, you like that? Like, yeah, so what? What about it? Fuck you. If you want to talk about Easy, we can talk about Easy. I like his stuff too, but I'm also over here listening to the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. So yeah. Anyway, I actually had one of the only concert that I've ever been to was a Nitty Gritty Dirt Band concert. Yeah. I have been to other places where there were singers. Like I've seen Lee Greenwood live, but we weren't there for the Lee Greenwood show. He was at Waterside. I think it was Waterside. But in Virginia, they often have these different festivals where they'll have like 3 or 4 stages, and he was on one of the stages one time. So I did see him. It was actually funny. He gets up and he's like, okay, now I'm going to sing the song everybody's here for, the one everybody knows. And of course, everybody's thinking, God bless the USA. But he starts singing, and it's a McDonald's jingle that he had done at the time. It made everybody laugh. And then he went into God bless the USA. Would it be inappropriate to rewrite Indian Outlaw to the other kind of Indian? I suppose not. I just don't know how you're going to rhyme it. I mean, Choctaw is right there for outlaw, but what do they have for the Indian people? Looking at Chris Ledoux, he looks like a politician who's trying to appeal to the rural voter. Yeah, he really has that look to him. Could I have this dance? You capitalized a lot of that. So I don't know if you're asking me to dance or if that's a song. The other song that I think everybody should be forced to listen to and take in the message to is "The Dance," since we were talking about Garth Brooks earlier. That song came out at a very opportune time for me, back at a time when I was still upset about the circumstances of my middle school years, mom and brother dying. And yeah, for those who don't know, the song "The Dance" is about, how this thing, it fell apart. And in the video, they actually play a clips from a singer who died and his widow. So a big part of the message is losing people to death, but how, like, even if you had the chance, like with my mom, right? Mom dies when I'm 14. You could have another world where I was adopted as a baby, and then I grow up in a household where mom lives the whole time. But I wouldn't have met my mom. I wouldn't have had the 14 years I did have with her. And looking on it, of the two, I'm glad it happened the way that it did. It sucks the way it ended, but even knowing the way it ended, I'd do it all again. Could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance. True story. And that is such a powerful statement. The next line is, "Our lives are better left to chance." Or so the line before that, "Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance." And that is a great thing. It's like, even when my dad died, right? I was so thankful that I got to know him for as long as I did. Yeah, it sucked because I just lost my dad. But that's so much better than never having him at all. And it's a message so many people need to get, is that, yeah, sometimes life sucks, but you need to start paying attention to the silver linings. And now that we're getting the silver linings, it sounds like I have been drinking, even though I haven't, I promise. It's probably time to wrap up the show. So thank you guys for listening to the main part of the show, where we talked about politics and the nonsense, and hanging around for the more I guess pop culture part, where we're talking about music. I love music. I think music, who was it? There was one early, said Jerry Reed is underrated. I wanted to highlight that, but I was in the middle of something else I was saying at the time. "Eastbound and Down" is one of my favorite songs ever. It is so fucking catchy. If you guys are unfamiliar with "Eastbound and Down," it's from what is it? Smokey and the Bandit. But I do love Jerry Reed. If you guys are fans of guitar, and I didn't even know this, even though my dad was a huge Roy fan. Now all I can think of is Roy Orbison, and that's not who I'm thinking of. Roy, not Rogers. The guy from Hee Haw. What was his name? Roy. Shit, I can see him. Fat little guy. Clark. Thank you. Roy Clark. Those of you who are saying it. If you've never looked up Roy Clark playing the guitar, you should go watch. That man was fucking incredible in ways that even today, I've seen it probably a dozen different times of him playing guitar. Every time I see it, I'm just blown away. He is a fucking amazing guitarist who never gets enough credit. Speaking of people who don't get credit, Roy Clark's guitar playing was fucking amazing. Dude shredded. He absolutely did. And it's actually funny because this was a thing back in the 80s or 90s or so, that like they would ask guitarists, like ask Slash, who's the best guitarist ever? And he'd be like, Roy Clark. That most people will say, like, Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page or a well-known rock guitarist. You want to see the best guitarist that I've ever seen? Go watch Roy Clark. And that's not taking away from any other guitarist I like, but watching that man, especially like, you're talking in the 50s, and this is before it becomes popular to tap the way that like Eddie Van Halen did. This dude is actually picking all of this shit. Oh, he was just so good. So good. So, and he would sing and play at the same time. One of my favorite performances of Roy Clark is him playing to the crowd. He's not singing at all. He's just playing with the guitar, but he's also playing to the crowd about how difficult what he's doing is and stuff. And it's the amount of storytelling he does without saying a fucking word while playing the guitar. It's just amazing to watch. Anyway, on that note, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you for the donations. You guys are so kind, and I really do appreciate it. Or since Trump is in office, for the tips. They're tips now. They're not donations. So I don't have to be taxed on them. But thank you guys for being here. I love you. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next one, which will not be later today because it is Sunday and I am still taking Sundays off. And I know I just had 2 days off, but that was for other reasons. I am still trying to do this every day, and I know I haven't done it yet. I think I made 1 week where I did the whole week, but I'm trying. I am trying. But it may end up being just as more random as this one is with what was it, 1 o'clock in the morning when I started this time. I was like, fuck it. I'm bored and I need to talk. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. Take care. Oh, birthday. Whose birthday? Whose birthday? Where was that? Ranting Monkey, my birthday was the 5th. Tina, this is for you. And a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tina. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tina. I hope you have a good one. Everybody else, have a wonderful day. Love you. See you next time. Bye now.